Yo, hey guys, we're back with another video. This time it's going to be a spring weapon tier list, specifically in 1v1. Now, I know a lot of these other people have done like weapon tier lists as a whole, you know, talking about both 1v1, 2v2, but then I want to make a 2v2 video later. And the reason why I'm doing 1v1 is because it allows for better, you know, rating and stuff like that of these weapons. We're going to start off with the first weapon. In my personal opinion, we're going to go from left to right. In my personal opinion, I think Axe doesn't deserve to be high enough in like doesn't deserve to be a high placement for ones, because Axe, this weapon is very slow. It deals a lot of damage. It deals a lot of damage in a short amount of time. It's very easy to use. Like, don't get it twisted. This weapon, if you hit somebody with this weapon like 3-4 times, you're gonna have it's gonna have more of an effect than you hitting them 4 times with katars, for example, right? But the amount of times you're gonna be able to hit somebody with this weapon is like way less, because it's very slow, it's very obvious, and you know, whilst it does have a lot of active frames, it can be spot dodged very easily. So I personally don't think Axe is that great. If somebody throws a sidelight, you can spot dodge it. Somebody throws a downer, you can spot dodge it. All these moves are kind of like spot dodgeable, you know. And they're very, you can react to a lot of these moves. Now, if someone were right next to you and you can't think and you were to dash sidelight, maybe you won't be able to react to that moment, or even end light. But all in all, this weapon is very slow, you know, and it suffers because at red HP people can find it very predictable what you're going to go for. You're going to go for end light, Seh, and maybe D light to kill. These are your 3 best options, and they're very obvious. Everyone knows you're going to go for a Seh. So I personally don't think in ones Axe does that great, because on top of all this, it has like bad matchups, you know. It doesn't do great against bow, it doesn't do great against scythe, it doesn't do good against katars, gauntlets. It does do good against hammer and lance, but majority of the time it's weapon tier list, like the matchups aren't that great. So yeah, that's Axe in my opinion. It's like, and just to put a disclaimer for you boys, this is my opinion, and also all of these weapons are viable. That's why I put the lowest ranking as meh but still viable, because you can still win BCX with Axe. Like, we're in such a good meta right now where everything is viable. I just think personally, like, at the weakest like tier, Axe is definitely going there. Now guns, this weapon, I don't want to say it's meh but still viable. I personally do believe it's like a good weapon. Like, it's good. But again, for the amount of risk you're taking and reward, it isn't going to be that great off. If I were to be able to put it at the highest rank, I'll put it like the highest of meh but still viable. Like, this weapon is great. It can space the opponent very well, and it can also deal damage very quickly. Of course, it struggles to kill, apart from the fact that you have a combo D-light into dash jump recovery, which, you know, kills people at like in certain maps at a very early stage. But that's like very scenario like specific, you know. And for matchups, I wouldn't say gun really suffers that much. It only suffers from the fact that it does have dead zones, because when you go for a Seh, when you go for a sidelight, in between that like sidelight and Seh, there's a part inside where it's a dead zone. They can't hit you. They have to go for a D-light, or maybe even an end light or a down air. It's like, it becomes very obvious when you're stacked with a gun user what they're trying to go for. So that's the only part it does suffer in the 1v1 aspect. Now, with the ability to space and the amount of combos you have, and being able to at least, like, you know, kill a bit early with the combo, I think it's I'd say a bit better than Axe in that regard. But now, why am I not putting this weapon in meh but still viable, but like I still put it in good weapons, you know? It's because this weapon, I think overall, is better in terms of matchups and stuff like that, and it's better at a higher level, but it's harder to use though. So that's why I'm not putting it, you know, like in a higher placement. If this weapon was very easy to use, I would honestly put it in great, or maybe even higher, like maybe. But you know, that's my opinion of guns. We don't see that many gun players, but I still think it's a better weapon than Axe, but not too great. Now, let's go over to bow. Bow, this weapon is definitely in great. It's without doubt in great. This weapon is very underrated. Everyone in NA thinks it's like a best weapon tier list, or like the highest, you know. It's like, it's meant to be like the craziest weapon. I don't see too much in okay, I'm gonna say don't see too much in tournament. We've definitely seen, you know, Akno and some of these players, even Blue, use Koji in the last tournament, Spring Champs, but bow, it probably is the level of best weapons, but then again, we're going to argue the ease of use and stuff like that, right? Some brothers who use bow find it very easy to deal damage, but then they find it very hard to kill because you have to actually go for a read to kill with this weapon. Either it's paired with good signatures, or you're going to go with, like, I don't know, recovery, or like Nair or something, or like a Gimp maybe. But it doesn't have, of course, the qualities of like there's a specific move or combo it can do that's going to guarantee a kill very early, like guns, or even have like properties of a heavy weapon like a Sair that can kill. But it can kill with other moves, like not fairly early, like an alright kind of way. It's more that this weapon is very, very good for dealing damage in general. You know, if you're gonna get into edge guards, this weapon is phenomenal. It's great. You can Sair somebody into the wall, you can Sair him away from the wall, you can down air him, the down air is amazing, and the ground pound has probably the most force, like, out of all its other moves. Same goes with a lot of ground pounds in this game, but I think bow is great because matchups are great, and it deals a lot of damage fairly quickly. It only struggles to kill a bit, of course doesn't have the heavy weapons properties, but I think it's good enough to be great. Some people think it's like best because they find that a slow bow player is very hard to deal with. There's a lot of priority on the moves, on Nair for example, Enlight, all these kind of moves. It is quite hard. Like when you face a bow main, if you're on the ground, you're scared of the D-light, so you want to jump. And if you jump, you're scared of the Nair and the Enlight. So it's like, there's a lot of things that bow can do to apply threat. That's what I think, yeah. So yeah, bow, I'll definitely put in great weapons. Cannon, oh my days. This weapon, now, if you know how to play it right, this weapon could be like something special, right? But the problem with this weapon, I'm gonna say it's arguably the worst or second worst weapon in the game. Now, I'll say why. Because this weapon, it suffers from so many bad matchups, bro. Like any matchup where the hitbox is slightly in front, of the character, or like even more than, like, it doesn't force you to use your hurtbox in a way. Like a sword Enlight, an axe Enlight, a lance Enlight, a gun Enlight, a spear Enlight, a hammer side light. Like so all these moves will beat out, like, let's just say for example a cannon Sair, or like, a cannon D-light, which takes very long to start up. Like cannon, if it does hit you and is applying the threat to you, if they read the dodges, they will get a lot of damage very quickly, and they might be able to even like gimp you early. But it suffers in the neutral game so poorly. Axe of course has bad matchups and stuff like that, but its neutral game is actually, it's quite well defined. Like you know what you have to do in this situation. A lot of players are gonna say, oh yeah, just Axe there and it's a miracle, you've won in Axe neutral. But there's more to it than that. There's like, of course, the spacing with the side lights, and of course every ground option. But with cannon, your biggest problem is actually getting into somebody and trying to hit them. Because if you were to throw out attack and you within spacing range and someone else throws out attack, there's a high chance you're gonna lose, like due to priority and stuff like that. So yeah, cannon sucks because of the priority issues and stuff like that. It gets beaten out very early, but again, still viable. Still can get gimp. Still can destroy somebody with cannon very easily. Because of the damage and the combos, the strings, all of that. But yeah, priority is his biggest weakness, so we'll have to put it in meh, but still viable. Now, gauntlets. This is a very interesting weapon. This weapon is most definitely going into best weapons. Without doubt, man, this weapon is wild. Like, gauntlets has so many combos, and everything can combo off gravity cancel D-light into a kill option, into another combo. Nair can go into so many things. A D-light could be a start up into side light. Of course, that's the basic, like combo starter, then leads to something else. The amount of threat, like the amount of threat you can apply with this weapon is ridiculous. First of all, the amount of damage you can do, the off stage with this weapon is like one of the easiest, if not the easiest weapon to play off stage with. And it doesn't even have too much of a big issue of killing. because it kills so well off stage. The on stage problem, yeah, of course you need to get a read or like get a recovery or something like that. But at this point, if you just land the gravity cancel D-Light, you're gonna always follow up with recovery or near into recovery, and you're gonna get a kill. You know, playing neutral with this weapon, yes, people say you do need to have good movement. You do not need to be able to like make sure that you're able to focus on the movement in order to ensure that you can actually get into your opponent. Then again, there's gonna be them players that just go for side lights, and it's hard to punish side light as well. Of course, somebody can tell me, yeah, axe D-Light, yeah, spare D-Light, yeah, maybe some certain other moves on certain weapons can punish it. Yeah, sure it can, but the mobility you get with this weapon on stage and off stage, it's kind of unfair, and the amount of damage you do, and like you can kill early. You can't kill early. Sorry, I'm not gonna lie there. You can't kill early with this weapon. It's not unless you gimp them, but gimping them is not something rare. It's something very doable. Yeah. So yeah, the worst thing about this weapon is probably, I guess some people say the neutral, but like on stage. But reality, bro, some guy's gonna pop a gravity cancel D-Light into something, and he's one neutral. He can send you off stage with a gravity cancel D-Light chase dodge nair. So yeah, no, I think Gauntlet's very, very strong weapon right now. You know, best string. I wouldn't say. I'm not gonna say best string weapon. You know, I'll say up there though. I'm not gonna say which weapon I think is the best because it's hard to pin, but I'd definitely say it's easily worthy of best weapons. This weapon, it's funny. Hammer is definitely another weapon that's in the best weapon category. Now, think of axe, but this time let's give it way more combos and let's give it way more string potential, and then let's also make it almost as quick as a light attack weapon. Why does this move's D-Light and Light come out at like sonic speed, and then on top of that you can pair everything into anything? N-Light goes into side light at white, so that's like free damage. Like at white, if you hit somebody N-Light by luck, you know, you somehow hit this N-Light, bro, which has got some weird hitbox to it, yeah, you're gonna chain into side light, free damage. Someone's gonna panic, you're able to get another chase dodge into something else, or dash jump into something else. Now you hit a side air at white, it goes into N-Light. You hit a D-Light, it's gonna go into side light, down air, side air. If you hit a gravity cancel D-Light, it can go into recovery, you can go to... You get my point. There's like a billion combos. On top of all this, bro, there's the amount of damage you're doing. It's just crazy. What kind of heavy weapon has light attack properties? I mean, sorry. I guess it's a light weapon properties, you know? Like, these heavy weapons are meant to be slow for good reason. A great sword, axe, maybe even considered cannon, you know, to some extent. But Hammerman, like, what is this weapon, bro? Why is it so fast? And why is it in neutral? Can you gravity cancel a D-Light from miles away, hit the person, follow up with a nair, and that would be something to kill somebody? It's like having an axe you know when axe players just are fighting normally and then they throw out a signature and then they jump and do a gravity cancel D-Light or something to catch you off guard? You could do that with hammer. Why? It's funny, man. The amount of damage you do, the amount of kill options, almost every move you have with this weapon can lead into a kill option. Almost every move is a kill option, bro. Why does nair hit grounded? Why does it hit a bit behind? Like, it's a bit wild. And then side air, of course, and down air. All area options are gonna kill. Even recovery, bro. Like, the move that's meant to save you is gonna kill. Like, it drags them down. It's funny. Everything can lead into a kill option. I think hammer is, yeah, it's crazy. Some people are gonna say, oh no, but it's a bit hard to get into somebody in neutral. Yeah, hammer's biggest weakness is probably fighting against axe. Axe. This is where it becomes a bit funny. Like, axe, although it's in that tier list, it can beat hammer. Hammer and lance, that's his two weapons it beats. Now, you're not going to face an axe player as grounded as you want to, you know, because if you go for side light versus side light, on some accords, you know, many accords, sorry, axe is going to win in, like, the grounded exchanges. Now, a hammer player is obviously going to be moving around. You're going to have to need good spacing, good movement with hammer. That's the only thing it costs you to be able to fight a bad matchup, such as facing axe. Other than that, kill options, damage options, like anything can lead into anything else. It's wild, bro. It's definitely worthy of the best weapons. And then, waffling too much about hammer, let's go on to Katars. This weapon, now, when we spoke about Gauntlet saying, you know, it has the easiest offstage. We spoke about hammer has like, it has both light and heavy weapon properties and so much damage. Now katars, now you're like, oh, surely there can't be any two weapons as good as, like, another weapon as good as these two. Bro, katars, now, it might not have as many combos as the other two, yeah. It still has combos nonetheless, but it has the strongest, it has one of the strongest string potentials. But on top of all this, it has the best neutral in the game. Someone could tell me, no man, look at flipping sword, spear, these other weapons are great. Bro, why are you able to just engage with sidelight or D-light and apply so much pressure? Like, it applies way too much pressure. Once you hit somebody with this, and like, even before you hit somebody with this, why are you able to just move and then a D-light is gonna, it covers too much like kind of diagonal angle and on top of end light and side light. It's like, it's so powerful on the ground. It's too scary. It's like very hard to, you know, contest. A lot of players struggle, and when they're aerial in the air, they're very scared of, like, you know, trying to get down to land, right, and then getting punished by any, you know, Qatar like move, grounded move. It will beat them like majority of the times. The amount of priority this weapon has, it's quite crazy. So yeah, the neutral on this weapon I think is crazy, and on top of the neutral, it's also a weapon that once it hits you with a sideline, you can follow up into D-light. Of course, you can follow up to end light. I'm not sure if that's true, but the amount of pressure you have after hitting these, because the person stays still after getting hit by these moves, you can obviously follow up into anything else, bro. I'm pretty sure some person can mash playing with Qatars, like mashing some light attacks, and he'll be able to apply a certain level of pressure. It's like, it's very hard to punish Qatar attacks in general, you know, because they're too fast, they recover way too quickly. You try punish an end light, the guy throws out a D light, and vice versa, bro. Like, some other moves can go into other moves. It's very hard to punish. That's why I think Qatars are there. Now, Lance. This weapon has this, like, I don't know what to call it, but it's quite ambiguous, because this weapon, in reality, when you look at it at base value, it's hair. It is most definitely hair. But some brothers are putting it like it's hair or hair, which I don't understand. I would not put Lance in any of these two categories. Maybe put it into good. Now, why am I like struggling with this? Because I think good, it's like okay, I guess. It's like it's good enough, you know, to put it into good weapons. But at the same time, matchups, it sucks. It just sucks. Like, Lance versus guns, it loses, you know, because the hitboxes and stuff like that can space out Lance player easily. Again, you know, the hitbox versus hurtbox argument. And then there's also Axe beats Lance, like grounded sucks. Bow beats Lance, you know. The thing is, now, when I was mentioning these other weapons, I didn't really mention much matchup issues for these weapons. Like Qatar's, I didn't really mention that Spear is probably his best bet against it. But that's because it's although it's his best bet against it, it doesn't render the weapon almost useless. When you use Axe versus Lance, you're like, how the hell do I win this matchup? A lot of people struggle so much. All these Lance players, they struggle so much with versus Axe. However, Lance has the potential to be in range with the good weapons. So if you don't look at it from the perspective of the matchups, you can say Lance is within, you know, I'll put it next to gun tier list and stuff like that, right? But actually, you know what? I might change my mind, because I'm thinking of another weapon that I think is might be nah, I guess I'll keep it in meh, but still viable. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep true to what I'm gonna say. I think Lance is it can be a very deadly weapon if you read somebody, but priority wise, it doesn't work too much like that, you know. Yeah. To be honest, I'm so indecisive with this. Actually, I'll put it in good weapons, because I'm thinking about guns as well. Like Lance, it just has the properties in 1v1 enough to deal like damage with some string, and there's a lot of pressure. But because the community as a whole that plays Brawlhalla, like, they all suck against Lance, that's the only reason I don't want to put it in meh but still viable. I know it's gonna be like, oh, you're just catering to the people's like opinions now. But it's more like, until people adapt to this weapon, I'm going to put it in good for now. But it is most definitely in meh, but still viable, in my opinion, you know. I'm just going to put it in good for now, because once people, like, you know, start to adapt, then they'll probably see why I think the matchups for this weapon suck. But Okay, on to the next weapon, Orb. This weapon deals a lot of great damage as a good kill confirm combo. You know, overall it's a great weapon. You know, it deals a lot of damage very quickly as well. And also it's very safe on a lot of moves. You know, you do down air, you move away, it's very hard to punish. You do sidelight into Seer, that's a kill option. You know, some people do mess up that combo a lot. It has one of the weirdest timings, but it's still viable in my opinion. It's still okay. You know, like the Orb, I think is great. Now, Orb's weakest point would be that it has it has some like semi-predictable like moves. You know, when you're red, everyone knows you're gonna go for sidelight into Seer, or you're just gonna go for Seer, or you're just gonna go for recovery. Maybe if someone's off stage, you know, you best believe someone's gonna go for down air. You know, like everyone knows because it's so much of a threat. You know, it becomes a bit predictable at later HPs, just like Axe, but because it has, you know, like fairly, you know, safe moves, I'll definitely put it in great. Now, I'm not putting in best because I think best is like, you know, this weapon, it's like crazy good right now in the meta. I think this weapon is good, but I don't think it's that level, you know. Matchup wise, I'm not too sure about Orb, but I do think it's worthy of great. Scythe. This weapon is interesting. This weapon is very interesting. I'll put it in good just because of its capability to kill people off stage in the way it does. Now, some people say Scythe down is the worst move. Not gonna mention any names, but Polisher. I'm joking. But Scythe down air, this move off stage is like can obviously lead into a combo that kills pretty early, that kind of stuff. You know, off stage it has like some of the best properties. I don't know, it's arguably like up there with gauntlets off stage, you know, if not maybe better, because it has moves that drag you away from the stage. You know, you could do a down air, send some guy to the right. You can do a nair, you could send someone to the right. It's very good for preventing a guy from coming back to the stage, you know, as opposed to just outright killing them like gauntlets. So off stage properties, it's amazing. Now, why, if I'm saying it's so amazing off stage, it's still in good weapons tier. Because this weapon in general kinda, I'm not gonna say it's neutral, generally sucks. It's more like it's options. Now, why is it that when somebody throws out a certain attack, you know, when a side player throws out a certain attack against you, some brothers are able to just attack our hit stun and just punish Scythe. Of course, if you throw out attack and you fail to punish attack our hit stun against Scythe, you're gonna get destroyed because you probably just lost, you know, your dodge and stuff like that. But majority of the time, there are so many ways, you know. This is from me, you know, like sparring against certain Scythe players. I've learned that, you know, Scythe, you need to put a lot of effort just to receive like the same result that a hammer main or gauntlet main could get, you know, off of like one string, off of something. You have to read jumps, dodges, fast falls, all this in one, you know. After catching, let's just say, a dodge, for example, like you have to read a jump or a fast fall. You know, sometimes with gauntlets, if you catch a dodge, you get free damage. Hammer, free damage. Katars, to a certain extent, free damage. It's like a lot of weapons, it's free damage. Scythe is still, it still requires you to read them after you've caught their dodge. Now, my friends and myself, I used to always think Scythe is like one of the most bust weapons. That's because I had poor options to use against it. When I realized that Scythe, it's great if you have amazing movement and amazing like game awareness in general. However, you need to have this like amazing level to just put Scythe up to get it up there to great weapons, and maybe some people might say it's best weapon level, but it just sucks too much in terms of like the options, like in neutral, and once you've hit somebody, to be able to be a weapon that's consistently great or best weapon level. So if you have the skill level, you can take this weapon to a much higher place than the weapons below and probably above great weapons. So that's why Sandstorm was able to show you its like true power and stuff like that, and so now we're seeing Polisher. But yeah, you need a lot of effort to use this weapon. You know, it's almost not worth it. Like guns, same predicament. You know, you can still be viable with it. Of course, every weapon's still viable. But yeah, that's my opinion on Scythe. Spear. This weapon, I don't think it's best weapon. Some people put it up there somewhere. I think it's definitely in the great weapon tier because this weapon is so damn, like, it's so damn neutral in everything, bro. It's really good for spacing out your opponent. It's really good for, it probably has the easiest, I think, dodge read punishes in the game. It probably does, bro. Like, you hit side light, you're gonna hit D light. Everyone knows we're gonna do double D light set, D light recovery, double D light nair. I don't need to say too much, bro. It's like, it has the easiest dodge read punishes. That's for sure. You know, everyone knows, oh, someone's gonna dodge up after that side light, jump, gravity cancel D light. Someone's gonna dodge in, dash the other way, D light, bro. It's like, you know what's gonna happen, but you can't do anything against it, bro. Just don't panic dodge in that moment, you know. It's like, it's so solid in just like punishing once it's got a dodge read. You know, it's so easy to confirm damage with this weapon. Now, neutral, if you're gonna use certain moves wrongly, you're gonna think this weapon sucks in neutral. Like, if you dash and use side light so many times, you're probably gonna lose a lot because that move is not that great. You know, it's great for once you land it, but it's not great to just throw out in neutral. If you know how to use the Ser, the end light, even down air, maybe even the nairs, you can make this weapon so like obnoxious to, you know, to face, you know, in neutral. Its offstage ability. Now, that's one thing I haven't really mentioned is the offstage ability of every weapon. You know, my bad for that, guys, but because I just like some weapons I just don't even bother feel like saying, like guns, for example. I think that its offstage is like, it's not that great. Lance could have something to do with it, but it's, again, you know, you need certain skill to use the cancels and stuff like that, and so forth. Now, spears offstage, downers, they're solid. They need accuracy though, can't lie to you, because it does hit a bit, it does force your character to go down a bit, so you need to be quite up high. Like, you need to know the certain distance. You need to practice that in order to do, you know, the spear downers correctly. Other than that, not much to this weapon. Great damage build up, very easiest confirms, decent matchups, you know. But yeah, it doesn't kill early. No, it doesn't. That's the problem with it. It doesn't kill early. But yeah, again, just like bow, a lot of damage build up, very easy. And off stage is just very, you know, normal. Yeah, not much you have to learn. Okay. Now, sword. This weapon is what we call the omni neutral. Right. This weapon, like I did say that Kataz has best neutral, but when I mean about omni neutral, I'm talking about the weapon as a whole. I'm not talking about its neutral game. This sword weapon, it's in great in my opinion. But what on earth is wrong with this weapon? This weapon, no matter how bad it really is, it's not bad. Like, it's solid in neutral. It's solid in combo game. The string game with it is good. The only weakness with this weapon is that some people feel like, yeah, you need to have good movement and good spacing in order to actually deal enough damage, which then leads to, of course, the killing. You know, of course, you have gravity cancel D-light into recovery, which is going to kill early if you jump as well. All this kind of stuff, right? You have the combos, D-light, dare, recovery, that works. You just have the whole point of using D-light in neutral, the side light compared to the end light. There's so many. I'm seeing brothers now in Spring Champs doing down air into nair. Miss or not, they're going for the nair after the down air. You know, like I literally faced like Husen, yeah, also known as Heisen, yeah. All he did against me was down air. He missed his down air. He threw out the nair. This is all as he was declining. He didn't jump, so he did a down air as he was falling, and he did a nair afterwards. There's everything can like cover each other with this weapon. It's so like perfect, like such a well-rounded weapon, you know. Now, it doesn't kill super early, but it kills just right. It deals damage very well. Its neutral is perfect. If your movement is great, your neutral is gonna be perfect with this weapon. Watch Simple how he plays this weapon. It's crazy. It's so good. You know, this weapon, it's arguably like up there. This is up there with the best weapons, but because it's just like, I wouldn't say there's one thing with it that excels at anything. You know, it's more like it's just very good at everything. You know, so that's why I put great weapons. And last but not least, great sword. This weapon, pre-nerf, of course, everyone knew it was the monster, like, you know, everyone thought it was supposed to be, right? Now, after nerf, yeah. Like, I want to put it in meh, but still viable, because I personally thought this weapon was great. Like, it was in a great tier when after it got nerfed, because I was like, oh, if you just know the reads and if you know that, but I'm like, that's not logical, right? Like, how are you meant to know the reads, you know? Like how are you meant to read someone 24/7, you know? What if you do read people? This weapon is phenomenal, right? Because this weapon isn't great at reading someone with his movement as a whole. This weapon's good at reading, like, I mean, at damaging somebody who used his dodge. If you got it right, I don't think there's many things that are jumpable, that kind of stuff, out of Greatsword. Somebody could correct me in the comments. I'm not too sure about Greatsword, but I just know that it's solid on once you actually read and you input correctly against the dodge. That's one thing with Greatsword. However, how realistic is that? How many chances are you gonna get? I literally faced Kixer in the latest tournament, and he read me sometimes, and I was able to attack out hit stun and prosper against this weapon. I was able to jump out of this. Not jump out of this. I was able to dodge even when he read me in the right direction. If he didn't time it just perfectly right, he missed his chance. So yeah, there was times where he read me and he still wasn't able to prosper. Now, it applies a lot of threat. So let's say if it does hit somebody on dodge, they're gonna panic, bro, and you're gonna be able to deal more damage and maybe even lead into like some sort of like 0 to death or something. That's the great thing about this weapon. Neutral game though, with this, it's like matchup game. This weapon doesn't do that great against that many weapons, in my opinion. I think its matchups isn't too great. But yeah, its biggest problem is the fact that you have to read someone in order to kind of prosper. But prior to this, when Greatsword was busted, bro, you could go for nair, you can go for recovery, you can go for all these moves, and you're safe. And you're gonna deal damage. Big hitboxes, very easy. Like, you didn't have to play the weapon to read somebody, but now you kind of do. So yeah, this has been it for my 1v1 tier list, you know, for the spring champs. I'll do a 2v2 one, but hopefully in the other one I'll cut down on how much waff, because I waffled a lot. But yeah, I didn't mention off stage that much for certain weapons. I only did it for some. But overall, this is like what I personally believe is the 1v1 tier list for this season. Hopefully we see some different like meta maybe in a patch or not, and if not, I wouldn't be mad, because I think every weapon is still viable. And all in all, a Greatsword can still win BCX, Cannon, Axe, they can all do so well, you know. Every weapon is perfectly fine. We're in a meta where it's very stable. I mean, it's very balanced. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.